Okay, so Peter Welpton is from The Ticket, is Fox 4's World Cup analyst, and he joins us live now with most of the round of 32 bracket. Peter, I want to ask you, what are the most interesting storylines today, in your opinion, as we get ready to take the pitch in Arlington tonight?
Well, England getting through, just finishing up beating Panama is good for them because Croatia also won, and so there was a few moments there where Croatia actually was leading that Group L, and England's path through the World Cup knockout stages was about to take a dramatic turn. And then Harry Kane happened, and England ended up beating Panama, and so all is back right with the world, and they ended up winning that group. So that's a good story for England and England fans.
I like Kerry Hayne, actually. That's good. That's what I'm going to call him from now on. Peter Welpton, it's Mike Ducey from Fox 4 Sports. Welcome to back to our broadcast. We appreciate it. Did you do the radio today already? Are you doing it tonight, or what's the deal?
Yeah, we are. I just finished up 2 hours on World Cup kick-around, so I'm a little punchy. Sorry.
Really appreciate you doing this. I know it's been a full day already for you.
Yeah.
Messi won't start tonight. He'll play, we think, in the second half. Would you play him at all if you were managing that team?
No, but there's also a scenario where Messi probably went to him and said, "Leg, I want to start. I'm ready to go. I'm looking great. I'm playing well," and they probably had to talk him off even starting. So him actually playing is probably a big deal, and it's probably not too big of a risk. But man, if he was to get hurt or something leading into the knockouts in a game that really doesn't mean anything, that would be a travesty. But there are a lot of Argentinian fans in that stadium tonight that just want to see Messi again for the first time, whatever it is. And it's hard not to do that for them. So, yeah, he'll get some minutes tonight, but not many.
Peter, being out there the other night, you talk about the fans, the Argentinian fans. I couldn't help but notice how often the players on the field actually acknowledge the fans in a different type of way than we're used to seeing professional athletes in this country do. And I don't know if it's just part of the soccer culture, international soccer culture in general, if it happens to just be for this World Cup event. But there was something kind of cool about it, I thought.
Yeah, it's interesting how the World Cup actually is a whole different dynamic of a connection between the fan base and the players than even at the club level. And probably because it has a lot to do with national pride more than just tribal pride with a club team. And so especially because so many of these fans have traveled from so far away, I really think that resonates with the players, especially not just the travel, but all the, the cost, the expense of getting here, the time off. I mean, the amount of time a lot of people are taking off out of their total vacation time over the course of the year just to come to the United States for several weeks is no small thing, and I think the players really, really appreciate that.
Peter, I'm wondering what your thoughts are on America hosting more World Cups in a closer period of time. There's been some analysis and from CNBC and some of the business analysts talking about just how much money is being made here with these American stadiums that can seat 70,000, 80,000 plus people, all of the advertising deals, the merch, you name it. Do you think that the World Cup might get back to America sooner rather than later?
That's an interesting question, especially as Saudi Arabia is getting the 34 World Cup. So, I don't know. Obviously, FIFA is going to rack up a lot of points, at least what they consider to be a lot of success points in terms of tickets sold, revenue raised, all of that stuff. But there's also going to be a lot of blowback and post-tournament conversation about what actually all this costs for people to come over to the United States. They brought the tournament to the United States for a very specific reason. It is the stadium size, the capacity of those stadiums, and the fact that we have an economy that just at least in this day, allows for really, really high entertainment ticket prices. It's not just sporting events, but everything we know. Just going to the movie is incredibly expensive as compared to what it used to be. So, it'll be interesting to watch, no matter how great this World Cup continues to be in terms of entertainment, what the post-analysis is from everybody when we start talking about, what everybody on average spent to get over here. But all that said, guys, I have no idea if that will change FIFA's mind even 1 ounce, because if this continues to go this way, they will continue to feel like they have a very strong argument about bringing back the World Cup to the United States sooner than later.
Peter, we do now know the matchups for next week's games at Dallas Stadium in Arlington, Ivory Coast, Norway at noon Tuesday. Casey's excited that the Norway fans will be here.
We get the rowers.
Australia, Egypt Friday at 1. What are your thoughts just on those matchups and the attractiveness of those matchups?
Look, we talked about this when the schedule came out and Dallas got its 9 games. Its 5 group stage games have all been exciting. Even the game tonight doesn't have a ton of meaning to it, but it's going to be an insane scene there. But now we get to the knockout stage, and these games just have a completely different power to them. And to be able to be there for one of these games, the round of 32 games are going to be amazing. Let's not even talk about the semifinal. The semifinal is probably going to be a mind blower. There's a reality we may get something like Spain versus Portugal in the round of 16. Ivory Coast, Norway on Tuesday is going to be a fantastic game. Our friend Lars, who is over here from Norway doing the show with us, he's going to be there for the game. And, that's a significant deal for a guy like Lars. This is probably the biggest game in his country's history, and he's going to get to be there for it. And we're really, really excited for him. So, these are all 4 of these knockout games are going to be really, really electric.
Peter, again, we know that you're taking some time away from your family. We understand that you have dinner with your wife.
Okay.
And want to just ask you one more question, and then we'll get you to dinner. Let's talk about Team USA really fast. A game against Bosnia-Herzegovina. What's the Americans' path going forward looking like?
Well, that's kind of the interesting thing, and I never really paid attention to this. It's my co-host Andy Swift, who's really the World Cup historian, that pointed this out. As a host nation, you're granted some advantages in your scheduling that other nations just don't get. Canada kind of goofed that up for them by not coming in first in their group. They'd have to leave Canada to now play in the knockout stages. But Mexico is going to play at least its first 2 knockout games in the Azteca, which is amazing. And the United States obviously gets some pretty advantageous setups in terms of the places they will play their games, at least for the next 2, if not 3. They're not going to, in fact, all the way to the final, the U.S. is, if the U.S. was somehow able to make it to the final, they will have played the entire tournament minus the final itself in either a climate-controlled or climate-favorable venue, which is a significant deal when they go to play a final in New Jersey against the team that has been sweating it out on the East Coast for most of the tournament. That's something to think about as we move through this. But really, right now, it does shape up nicely. Bosnia, but what I would encourage everybody not to do is, they say, don't count your chickens. They've got to beat Bosnia on Wednesday, and that is not going to be a small feat. Bosnia is a scrappy team, and just to kind of drive that point home, to qualify for the World Cup, they beat Italy. And that's not a small deal. So they play a very straightforward style of the game. They've got a couple of guys on there that it could cause the U.S. big problems, and they've got an older guy up top who just seemingly always seems to find a way to score, and Edin Dzeko. And we say commonly that Dzeko happens, and that could very well be something the U.S. is going to have to watch out for on Wednesday. That said, the U.S. are the better team. They've been playing tremendously in this tournament with their first 11, 12, 13 players, and I am confident in them performing well in this game, but you just never know what can happen in a World Cup knockout match.
The tickets, Peter Welpton from the Kick Around. Just can't thank you enough, my friend, that what you add to our coverage is just incredible. And have a good dinner with your bride tonight. Enjoy your Saturday night.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Thanks, guys.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend, man.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.